listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On tonight's show, part 2 of J. Jeffrey Messerole and the Stone Horses, Kid Dakota, and North by North. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are now accepting submissions for Season 8. To apply, visit whitewallsessions.com. The White Wall Sessions would like to thank these fine sponsors for their support. Last Stop CD Shop, Bell Incorporated, Workplace IT Management, J. Rick Luthery, The University Center, Screen Flare, The Pink Moon Room, Club David, Great Outdoor Store, local branded convenience stores, Minuteman Press, Vishnu Bunny Tattoo and Piercing, and South Dakota Friends of Traditional Music. J. Jeffrey Messerole is an award-winning songwriter hailing from the Great Lakes region of northwest Iowa. We had J. Jeffrey for a solo session back in Season 4, where he brought his deep, powerful melodies and grit to that performance. This time, he brought along some friends, his band, the Stone Horses.
A little less, please. That's good there.
Their latest album, Greetings from Rock Bottom, drops in October of 2018. J. Jeffrey Messerole and the Stone Horses are J. Jeffrey Messerole, rhythm guitar, vocals, lyric, and composition; Tim Schroeder, drums and backup vocals; Brooks Begay, guitar and backup vocals; and Joseph Cafaro on bass.
This song is my ode to South Dakota, and it's called Chip Paint and Rust. There's an Indian boy driving an old white van with Aberdeen painted on the side and the windshield's cracked. 85-degree wind through the knee-high corn. Outdated information on these old billboards. It'll be another hour up to the North State line. World's greatest steakhouse, exit 185. I drive an early model two-tone GMC with just a 5-channel AM and an old CB. I got the windows rolled down, there's no goddamn AC. Oh yeah, but this chip paint and rust is like gold to me. Hay bales cut and left in place, and big corns along the fence lines taking up space. One lone stallion in the pasture, nearly 20 mares, while their tails asphalt that flies from the July air. I drive an early model two-tone GMC with just a 5-channel AM and an old CB. I've got the windows rolled down, there's no goddamn AC. Oh yeah, but this chip paint and rust is like gold to me. Well, this cold truck stop coffee, unlit menthol light. I'm 6 weeks off them, but one between the lips, well, it still feels right. Bunch of white-tailed deer met their roadside grave, where them big green fields turn to amber waves. Well, this desolate highway is 4 lanes wide. Drafting a truck and horse trailer doing 75. I drive an early model two-tone GMC with just a 5-channel AM and an old CB. The windows rolled down, there's no goddamn AC. Oh yeah, but this chip paint and rust is like gold to me. Oh yeah, this chip paint and rust is like gold to me.
Thank you.
This song gets better every time I hear it. So you've got your solo career. You play solo a lot.
Yeah.
When you're writing songs, do you write them and then maybe that song you play it solo and or with the band, or do you write songs specifically for this band and these guys playing?
I just kind of write, and then whatever happens. Anytime I get a new song, I'll bring it to these guys, and if they can put something good together with it, then we'll use it. And if it just doesn't work out for whatever reason, or if it's a song that doesn't require the sound of a full band, then I'll just keep it on a solo thing, and I've got a little bit of that. But I try and run almost everything by them.
Yeah. So how does it start with you then? I mean, so is it start with an idea or lyrics or just kind of find a hook on a guitar?
It's different every single time. I can't really say that there's a method to how I do it. It's just that, I saw a sign for the town of Henrietta, and then that got stuck in my head. And then my wife and I were on a road trip, and she was driving, and I told her she was the queen of the highway. And then I just kind of combined those into Henrietta, queen of the highway. And so it's a lot of that, just kind of, you get an idea off a name, or you hear a line somewhere or something like that, and just kind of build off of it.
Sure. I got to talk about that voice of yours because it is really something.
Thank you very much.
When did you realize that? I mean, have you always been singing, or did you realize at some point that this?
I was forced to do choir in middle school. And in 6th grade, I finally just quit because I had had enough of it, and I didn't like singing all that much. And then, I sang periodically to myself at home, in the shower, whatever it was. And it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I discovered that I wanted to write songs and sing them to people. So it's always just kind of been around, but yeah, I don't know.
I got to say, when you came here once, Jonathan Byrd was playing, and you opened up for him.
Yeah.
And he was packing up, and you were singing. He kept looking over his shoulder like, who in the world is that?
Yeah. Technically, Jonathan Byrd opened up for me because I played after him.
That's true.
No, that was, I was amazed that I could even get through a song with him in the room. I mean, he's one of my very favorite writers, just an incredible performer and writer, and I love all his work. And so it was really nerve-wracking to play songs with him in the room, but he seemed very receptive and very kind to what I had going on too.
Yeah. Well, and the backing vocals, particularly yours, Tim.
Thank you.
They just layered on there so nicely.
He's so easy to harmonize with, though. I mean, so easy to just, I don't know, I pick notes out and they work, and I'm lucky that way, I guess.
Did you grow up singing or singing in the choir?
I've been singing for years and years and years. I did choir all through growing up and sang when I was in the Navy, and then been in a band and sang a lot of harmony there too. So I've been singing for a while. He's way better than I am, though.
Well, they layered so nicely.
Thank you.
I got to say, these guys are, for the people on the podcast, we got some pretty big strappers here. When you say you sing in the choir or the glee club or something,
right?
It's not really working out. But
6'4", 260.
So do y'all have day jobs, or would you like to try and make music? Is this a full-time thing for you?
I work. I do have a day job in Cherokee. I work at a place called Crossroads of Western Iowa. It's a great Monday through Friday gig. I work with developmentally disabled adults in a sheltered workshop, and we are trying to teach them job skills. And we've got a whole team of people that are looking to get them community employment. And it's a wonderful thing, and it allows me to come out on the weekends and some weeknights and do this gig.
Sure. Well, talk about recording. Now, you have 4 albums?
I have 3 studio albums, and then tomorrow we're going to go into the studio and try and record a 4th, and then I've got a home studio that I'm working on recording a 5th as well. Help on it.
Well, there's a help wanted sign for my heart, and I'm looking for a gal to work full time. You don't need to scrub no dishes and mop the floor. Well, if you think you're qualified, apply inside. Well, I looked up from my coffee cup to find myself just a little bit shorthanded. I never knew how much I needed her until she needed me abandoned. Told me I could go find some kind of fun time and gal, if only for a night. So I put my pen to paper and gave them classifieds a try. There's a help wanted sign upon my heart, and I'm looking for a gal to work full time. You don't need to scrub my dishes and mop the floor. Well, if you think you're qualified, apply inside. Joe Faro. First couple days, friends, I tell you, I didn't even get a bite. I got to thinking that these want-ads had been a wanton waste of time. That old landline rang, and it made me wonder who could be on the other end. When a woman's voice responded, "Hey, boss man, well, I heard you need a friend." There's a help wanted sign upon my heart. I'm looking for a gal to work full time. You don't need to scrub no dishes and mop the floor. Well, if you think you're qualified, apply inside Brooks Brigade. First days are tough, I'll give you that, no matter what that job might be. If I didn't know any better, I'd have sworn that she was training me. Employee of the week, of the month, or just the greatest of all time. Them classifieds are worth every penny, 'cause I found myself a wife. There's a help wanted sign upon my heart. I'm looking for a gal to work full time. You don't need to scrub no dishes or mop the floor. Well, if you think you're qualified, apply inside it's signed upon my heart. And I'm looking for a gal to work full time. You don't need to scrub no dishes and mop the floor. Well, if you think you're qualified, apply inside. If you think you're qualified, apply inside. Thank you so much.
Coming up after the break, Kid Dakota.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Kid Dakota is the stage moniker of Darren Jackson from Belfast, South Dakota. Darren is a multi-instrumentalist, composer, engineer, teacher, and producer. He, accompanied by his good friend Justin Coronin, put on a stellar performance for us this season.
This song is off our new album, which is called Denervation. The song is called Keep Coming Back. Recovery is likely if you follow the instructions. Take tiny steps, eat tiny bites, and free yourself of desire. And it sounds like something I ought to believe, but I can't because I don't. And it sounds like something I ought to profess, but the words stick in my throat. Admit you have a problem and believe in restoration. Keep coming back, and everything will be okay. It sounds like something I ought to believe, but I can't because I don't. And it sounds like something I ought to profess, but the words stick in my throat. And it makes it hard to love my friends when all they want is me to bend. And I make it hard for them to love when all I want's oblivion. And we make it hard to love again. Keep coming back. There's never been denial Joseph K. on trial. But when I drink and I go down, there is music in my ears, and it sounds like something familiar to me, but I can't quite place the two. And it sounds like something familiar to me, but the notes all fade too soon. But the notes all fade too soon. But the notes all fade too soon.
Well, it's really cool because just when you come in, I mean, it's as much about what you don't play as what you do. You know, when you come in at certain times and hit that, it just has a much more effect. And
it's also a lot harder.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Especially as a two-piece too. If either of us make a mistake, it's just plain as day. You know, if you got a couple other instruments playing, you can kind of cover up a goof up. But with us, it's just like nothing.
That's why we never make any mistakes.
Ever.
Well, of course, that's just easy. Just don't make
It's easier
mistakes,
that
right?
way. Yeah. Yeah. Perfection. Yep.
Well, yeah, being the two-piece and then having that space in there, you've got to cover a lot of ground too. And
Absolutely, yeah. I play stuff that's really bassy. A lot of the times, I'm using the lower register of the guitar, which I like simple songwriting. You know, so I think the less is more kind of approach really fits my songwriting, and it makes you be really creative. You know, you can't just come to a song and think like, okay, I'm gonna put the beat down, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. You know, because we don't have any songs like that. First of all, I mean, they're all very unique guitar parts, and there's no filler. You know, nobody's sitting there strumming anything. You know, just to fill in space, and so having the drums as like an orchestral instrument, you know, really thinking about like this tom is important, you know, this tom here is important, and they play different roles, you know, they're not just used for, you know, fills, you know, so
yeah, that is fascinating because you could tell. I mean, certainly you'd kind of do one thing, and then it would change and go a different direction, and then it come back to that, you know, and that's the drums. I mean, that often happens with the guitar, but with the drums and the way they work together, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So when you write these songs, do they, I mean, it's not 1-4-5 with a minor in there maybe, or is it? And it's just the effects that are making it sound so different.
No, I mean, I always try to come up with a unique chord progression and also a unique, very crafted melody. I like to think that all my music would easily translate to elevator music, which I think is really a test of whether or not a song is good just in and of itself, regardless of how it's performed. So I always think about songwriting that way. It's like, you know, come up with a captivating chord progression that hasn't been used before, you know, and a melody that is really thought out, not what you'd expect, and it grabs you. You know, I'm a fan of, you know, songwriters that are bold, you know, and they're like, this song is a statement, right? It's not like this other song, and it's not like this other song. There might be a sort of a continuity of, you know, of emotion or of, you know, just stylistic continuity, but every song is, you know, it's a really unique entity. So that's sort of the way I approach writing them.
Interesting.
And if you ever hear our songs in an elevator, then you know we've made it.
I'll be listening one day. And
Exactly, yeah.
he did it. Kid Dakota.
We did it. Not the grocery store, the elevator.
The elevator, yeah.
Was a lot of those songs start off with this really cool thing going on, and then they build and build and build, and then kind of really hit you at the end. Do you kind of think that when you're writing a song before, or does that happen after you start playing it?
I usually think of that before. I think when I began writing songs, there were some bands that nobody really knows about anymore, like Coda Codeine, June of 44, Rodan, Slint. You know, some people know about these bands, but I mean, they're not, you know, they're not, you know, flying off the sales rack, you know. But I played these artists for Justin when we were on our last tour, and he's like, "Oh, now I can see where your songwriting comes from," because you know, it's just I took a lot from that genre of writing, you know, where it's like you have the songs are really dynamic, you know, and the verses can be whisper quiet, and the choruses can be really big, you know, and
or vice versa,
just yeah,
quiet chorus stuff,
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
Or just like really, there's only a really loud just punctuation in a song, you know, which I think is more like painting than songwriting, you know. This one of the songs we played, Hope, has this like hit in the first verse, you know, where it's just like, if you were thinking about it in terms of like expressionism, it would be like this, you know, bold sort of splash of color on there.
Across with red paint.
Yeah, exactly.
And it comes at you, and then you're as a listener, you're thinking, well, I need to pay attention to this song because something just grabbed me.
Yeah. Kid Dakota music is not, it's not good background music. You know, it's like, I think you have to pay attention in order, if you want to get anything out of it.
Yeah. And so when do Justin's parts come in, or do they come together?
Well, usually typically the drummer's parts have always come in later. Like I'll write the songs and then I'll bring them to the drummer and then we'll work out the parts together, because I have pretty strong opinions about how the drums are going to sound. I mean, lots of times the drummers bring things to the table that I, you know, hadn't thought of, and I'll gladly, you know, take their perspective into consideration because I'm not a drummer, but I do program a lot of drums, and I am a producer and an engineer. So when I'm writing a song, I'm already sort of thinking about the drums. But, you know, when Justin and I play together, he'll come up with stuff that I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, you know, or he'll make changes, or, you know, things that are really important contributions.
Hope is a dangerous thing when there is nothing to hope for. A bird with one broken wing, and the sky slamming shut like an old door. But when I call you, you listen, and you try to talk me down. But these heights are my prison, and now I know how it feels when you're all not around. Like the countryside after the war, advertisements from boarded up stores, like a stray dog that's outside your door, like a sail full of wind of a ship that's been is a dangerous thing when there is nothing to hope for. A cure for this empty feeling, and a machine to fuse all these parts But when I call you, you listen. And you hear what I say. But I no longer have permission. See the permit expired and now there's no.
Thank you very much.
Coming up after the break, North by North.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
North by North is a rock and roll duo who calls Chicago, Illinois home. Inspired by 70s psych and garage rock, they brought their crunchy guitar and drums to the White Wall and rocked the house. Their new album, Last Days of Magic, can be found on their Bandcamp page. North by North is Nate Gerard, guitar and vocals, and Kendra Blank, drums and vocals.
Thank you so much.
A two-piece, there's a lot of room for freedom with the guitar, but it's also somewhat limiting because you have to be the rhythm and the lead and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've always really admired more of the sort of like solid rhythm guitar players in terms of my personal idols, rather than just like constantly soloing or shredders or things like that. I think that it just I think that it works for what we're doing to keep it tasteful, and then have these little flourishes and these little hooks and riffs just kind of like creeping out in seemingly random places. And that's kind of my signature, I guess. I feel, if I could say I had one. So,
well, if you close your eyes, you could swear there's two guitar players up there.
Really?
Because you're doing so much. You're covering a lot of ground on that guitar.
Thank you.
And a lot of, tone-wise also. When you go into those leads, I saw you had a pretty good sized pedal board there. Did you have things set up on that?
Honestly, it's mostly just riding the volume knob and tone knob for whatever part of the song it suits. Usually, I have like, just the basic reverb, and I do have like an octave pedal that I use pretty heavily. But yeah, and then when I just need to kick it up a notch, I just kind of ride that volume knob and just crank it, and the amp does pretty much the rest. So
sure. that beautiful AC30.
Oh, I love the sound. I've had that amp for almost 10 years now. It's done the job for me. So.
And that guitar is really cool too. Can you just tell me a little bit about that?
The guitar that I'm playing is it's a newer brand. I think they've only been out for a year or so, but it's the brainchild of Dennis Fano, who was he's like a boutique builder. He sold that company and started this one. It's called Revolta Guitars. They're all over Instagram and all social media. But yeah, that was the guitar I played is the first model they ever put out. And yeah, it plays great. I love it. I just have kind of a ever rotating cast of guitars. I'm never quite satisfied. So it'll probably stick around for a while, but
this one's lasted a while.
It has.
So
yeah.
it's also, especially the first couple of months that we were touring like this, Nate went through a couple of different guitars because they just weren't standing up to being played 4 or 5 or 7 nights a week. It just wasn't going to be feasible. So this one's been pretty good so far.
Oh yeah.
So
4 or 5 or 7 nights a week.
It depends. We've been trying to scale back from the 7 shows a week for sure. That was out of necessity early last year when we first started doing this, but we're trying to limit ourselves to 5.
So you've been touring for, I think you said yesterday in Sioux City was your 18-month.
Yes.
So and going.
Yes, 18 months and going.
Yeah, we took a brief time off over Christmas, which I think came out to be 3 weeks. Of that time, we spent 4 days in the studio tracking our next album, and then ever since that, we've been out consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because I said you're from Chicago, and you said, well, yeah, but we don't pay rent right now. You're from your van, basically.
Yes.
We live wherever we are. We live everywhere. Actually, it's really cool. It's really freeing. It's kind of nice to be sort of anonymous during the day, especially because what we're doing as musicians is we're being very not anonymous when we're playing these shows, and we're pretty active on social media and stuff like that. So everybody knows where we are in the evening, but then during the day we can just kind of sink into the background, and no one knows us, and it's kind of nice to have that sort of dichotomy. But yeah.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of it.
It's definitely a non-traditional lifestyle,
yes.
to be sure. And in the beginning, it was a little bit scary. We sold all of our furniture and possessions, and we moved from a 1-bedroom apartment in Chicago. Then we moved into a bedroom in a 7-room house, And then we did a long tour at the end of 2016. We were out for 11 weeks and moved all of our remaining stuff into a storage unit. And when we came back, we were just like, I didn't even remember we had half this stuff.
Why did we keep this?
Yeah, why did we think we were going to want this? And that was the moment where we were like, let's just get rid of all of it and just do this full time. So.
Oh, that's really interesting. You're seeing a lot of the country too.
Yeah.
And I see that you're going to Canada as well. Maybe you've been there already.
This was our first show in South Dakota. On Saturday, we're playing in Fargo, North Dakota. Next month, we're hitting Maine and Vermont, and that will be all 48 contiguous states.
Step down the cave.
you.
The White Wall Sessions is recorded at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is produced by Spectrum Films Incorporated. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger, Doug Taylor, Greggy Johnson, and Jay Fishback. Head of broadcast is David Palmer. Associate producer is Mike Yeager. The White Wall Sessions Radio is produced and edited by Jeff Zuger. Audio recording and mixing by Kevin Phipps, Chad Conrad, August Ogren, and David Palmer. Scheduling and artist relations, Tom Eisner. Be sure to join us again next week. Same time, same place.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.